Here's a word of advice. Don't be impulsive with magic. So, like I said before the intro, it's a bad idea to be impulsive with magic, and let's talk about why. So, magic is not a good thing to do impulsively. There are many people who may disagree with me, but more often than not, it's a bad idea. So, I was able to generate a big list of reasons why it's a bad idea to be impulsive with magic, and I also got to give credit to my buddies in the Black Tower group that helped me to brainstorm for this. So, thanks, guys. So, there may be people who can work an effective ritual 5 minutes after coming up with the desire to do so, but one, I don't recommend that for beginners, and two, what I'm talking about here is magic that is done because you desire something in the moment, and it's fueled by emotions rather than logical thinking. So, what I mean by that is, okay, here's what is okay to do, right? It's okay to know that you have to, come up with the idea of, or it's okay to have the idea of doing something to solve a problem. That's great, having an idea and then wanting to jump on it, right? Here's a couple things. One, did you try mundane means to actually get that result first? Remember the sandwich from one of my other videos. Mundane, magic, mundane. Mundane action, then magic, then mundane action. Okay? So, did you do the mundane action first? Then, are you just going to jump headlong into ritual and, cast your circle and make a sigil and all that stuff and say what you want? Bad idea. The idea is to plan what you are going to do, your statement of intent, how you are going to raise energy, how you are going to execute it. Are you trying to create a permanent fix for a temporary problem? Are you fueling this off of emotion because you're angry or sad or overly happy about something? What could the overall domino effect be of what you want to do right now? You got to think about all this stuff before you jump into doing magic. Because I'm not talking about the people that are extremely skilled and they've been doing a certain type of ritual for years and they know how to cast the circle and they know how to, um, you know, they know who to invoke and who works with them and exactly the best way to raise energy that works for them and all that stuff. Because those people, yeah, they can get a sense of how to do all that stuff because it's so innate, it's so rote. But especially for those that are beginners, when you're still learning how magic functions and what to do step by step and how to raise energy and how it feels and all this other stuff, that requires much more present thinking, like forward thinking in your head of, oh, I got to do this, then I got to do this, then let me think about my statement of intent for a second and all this other stuff. Even the idea is that you got to make your statement of intent before you even step into the ritual thing, so you avoid all the pitfalls and whatnot, which my book Magical Theater does talk about in the tips, tricks, and traps section. Um, but people that are extremely skilled, they can step in and just activate this stuff, but they plan the important parts like the statement of intent and exactly what they're going to do in terms of what they're actually going to aim for and ask for when they work their magic. So they got that planning part down pat. So impulsive magic, bad. Planning any of your magic, good. Right? Let me continue. So magic has a give and take, an ebb and flow, and magic is accessed through the collective unconscious and are linked to everything else around us. When emotionally charged, this is very easily accessible. So, we can create very effective changes when we have that heightened state of emotion. But when it is kind of involuntary because we are reacting to something, when we reach that heightened state because we are in an emotional state and reacting to something, then we are much more likely to make a bad decision. How many of you, drop it in the comments and stuff, how many of you have actually done a spell that you kind of regretted later? Or how many of you have said something to someone that you've regretted later? Or gone to the grocery store and bought something that you've regretted later, in terms of eating it? Or how many of you have spent money on something that you regretted later because you went on an impulse of, I want this, rather than if I do this, am I going to regret it later? Do I need this money? Do I really need what I want to buy? That kind of stuff. Like stuff that's on sale. I saved $75. No, you spent that whole amount of money that you spent. You didn't save anything, right? Ebb and flow, give and take. So, if you do impulsive magic, you are forgetting to attempt to fix the problem through mundane methods first. I know I talked about this, but I'll just keep going. Which should always be a first go-to. Remember the sandwich. Mundane action, spell work, mundane action. Magical activities should be planned and executed with care and thoroughness. This allows for a targeted execution of a change in reality. So, it's basically, do you want to have targeted bombing on your target, or do you want to carpet bomb it, right? Do you want to spray an entire area? Do you want to like spray a giant area on your carpet to take care of a stain that might be just this big, but you just bomb the whole thing? Do you need to rent an entire giant carpet cleaner to fix a stain in the corner? No. Do you need to buy a supersized meal when you're just a little hungry? No. Do you need the absolute best thing with all the bells and whistles when something that's like store brand or something that's much less expensive could just do the same job? No, you don't need that big thing. So think about that. Yep. Let's see. When we do something impulsively, energy is not focused, as the intention of your spells can vary from moment to moment. Your results may, 1, not be what you were initially going for, and 2, you can get exactly what you want, but the question is, will you want those same results later after the impulsiveness has gone away? I have 2 examples in my life where I did impulsive magic, even when I was a beginner, so the fallout kind of sucked, and it's stuff that I still regret to this day, 12 years later? Is it 12 years? Ish? Yeah. Okay. Just trying to do math in my head. I like to be accurate. But, especially when it comes to planning stuff with your intention and all that, you really got to think about, like, you can target your intention. I think I talked about this with when magic becomes toxic, and probably in other videos. If you are going for a specific desire, but your intention is not focused to make sure that you don't get any negative fallout, the result could really suck. Oh, I wish I didn't have to spend so much money on gas, or I wish filling my gas tank didn't cost so much. Next thing you know, that car craps out and you can only afford a smaller car with a smaller gas tank. I wish I didn't have to, I wish there would be an extension on my rent this month or something like that. Next thing you know, there's like a bed bug infestation and you have to go live somewhere else, so your landlord waives the rent or something like that. Either way, there's always a fallout. There's an ebb and flow. Everything in the universe is a give and take, right? That's why I really like the description in the Magician's books, where magic is raw and it can be very destructive. There's always something that leaks out of it. Nothing is perfect. Even like think of magic as fuel in a car, right? Magic gets you from point A to point B. Is it 100% fuel efficient? No. I mean, I'm pretty sure there are plenty of people that are extremely skilled with magic where they'll be like, mine works perfectly every time. If you want to sit on a pedestal like that, get off of my channel. Anyway, nobody's perfect, right? When we do something impulsively, energy is not focused. Oh yeah, I think I went over that. Yep. Think of it as shopping at the grocery store with a list and picking things but picking things from impulse instead and not going from the list. Do you have room in the house? Should you spend the money? Are those things good for you? I think I went over that. But, it's always good to reiterate. If you're not prepared, you may mess up any working that you're going to do. Like, if you're really impulsive, and this used to happen to me a lot, you're in the middle of a ritual, oh, I need this, right? So you got to open a door in the circle, you got to go get it. That messes up the ebb and flow. Or you have to pause and think about how to do something. What's my next step? That pulls you more into the logical state of mind rather than being in access to that emotion, which accesses that energy to actually create change. Anything that bumps the flow, which is kind of what happens when we're doing things impulsively, because then when we actually have to get out of that emotion and think, right? You're trying to work with one state, but you're trying to get into another state to make sure you're doing the stuff over here correctly. So you got to balance both. And that's why if you have everything planned out first, you can ride that emotional and energetics from point A to point B and execute it. But if you're just throwing everything together real quick, your subconscious is going to be wondering about, am I doing everything right? Did I recite this correctly? This sigil might be not drawn effectively because I was being hasty about it, and a lot of entities that work with sigils, they're not exactly big fans of having their signature or signature sigil drawn incorrectly. It's like spelling or pronouncing someone's name wrong, which put it in the comments or give me a like if you ever had your name pronounced or spelled wrong and it irked you. It happens to me all the time. Let's see. Yep. Any prayers or recitations that you make could be spoken incorrectly. Like, if there's like I can do the invocation of the fire god from the Simon Necronomicon. Super easy off the top of my head. My girl can even do the Ziki Akanpa Ziana Kanpa honestly a little faster than me. And there's some things that she has memorized, like different names of the 50. She can like flashcard those. And me, I'm just bad at it. But if you're doing something for the first time, or you just came up with something real quick, because it's not rote and it's not rehearsed and stuff like that, you might mess it up, which is the same thing as writing a paper and making a whole bunch of spelling errors. Your grade's not going to be that good. I really hope teachers still check for spelling, except for those kids that are exempt from it due to various factors. Hey, special ed, so I kind of understand it. Do they teach cursive anymore? Let me know in the comments if you guys know how to do cursive. Let's see. And the desire that you want may backfire due to the unfocused energy, or may fizzle out in the middle of your working. Oh yeah, this is a big one. Like hastily building a fire without enough kindling. Oh yeah, your fire's going really good and all of a sudden it instantly dies. Or when you're in the middle of that ritual, as you're processing through what you're doing, it's like being on the highway thinking that you know where you're going and then second guessing yourself, and then you get that lack of confidence. Did I just pass the exit? Oh, it's getting dark. This might suck. Oh, it is, check the GPS. Is it really that address? Do I have enough gas to get there? Those kinds of things happen in the middle of a ritual, because when you're running off of that emotion, there is no telling when that emotional state is going to tank. And therefore, you don't know if you're going to have that energy to follow it through, not only with input and output, but also, are you going to want it by the time that you're done? That's why it's important to plan these things. It's like planning a trip. You got to make sure all your bags are packed. You have the right things. You're not taking anything that shouldn't go on a plane. You have your entire itinerary planned out. You have enough food. You have enough money. You make sure that you have all those days off that you took. All of that stuff. Magic is like cooking. Oh yeah, this is another one that I did in the last take that I had to do for this video. Magic is like a cooking recipe. The more often that you do it, the more rote it becomes. Some people don't even have to measure ingredients anymore. Like after they've been cooking for years. My grandma never does. She knows just by eyeballing it exactly how much of this and how much of that. Me, I measure everything out. Might be a little OCD or whatever, but I like doing that just to make sure it turns out right. Which is why you have to know your recipe, and the more often you practice it, the better it gets. And the less hasty you are with making food or making magic, the more likely your food or your magic is going to turn out well. There's some things on the stove. You cook them too high, they're gonna be crappy no matter what you do. Like pasta, you cook it too fast, it's gonna be like al dente or chewy, or might not even be cooked. But if you cook it on low, that's what allows it to actually soften up and become edible, I guess you could say. I was looking for a different word, but never mind. I'm starting to get a headache at this point. Yeah, so anyway, that is why it's bad to do impulsive magic in a nutshell. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Let me know if you've had any impulsive magic experiences that have backfired. Tell me some stories about that. You can also connect with me on any of my social media with me on like Facebook and Instagram and even Patreon and other things. You can find links and information to that at the end of this video, as well as all of my books. And hopefully this recording sticks this time, because I'm still having some issues. So cross your fingers that this is the right one, and good hunting.
Thanks for watching my video. So if you want to check out my playlists, I have, among others, the Simon Necronomicon, the Tree of Life, General Magic, Tulpamancy, a playlist on my books, the elements, stones, the theories that govern magic, and the gods and goddesses of Mesopotamia. If you want to check out my books on Amazon, I have Creating Consciousness, Magical Mechanics, Magical Theater,
Magical Mastery, which is a combination masterwork of magical theater and magical mechanics,
Handy Sigil Magic, and The Guide to the Spheres and Beyond. You can also find me on Facebook at Magickology YT. You can email me at priestofthenecro@gmail.com, and you can even check out my Instagram, which is Magickology. And good hunting!